today's lesson, we're going to learn another fingering for the G chord and also the G7 chord. And then we're going to learn a new strum pattern and work out a chord progression featured in the song I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. Okay, so we're going to start with the G chord, but this time we're going to use the third finger on the third fret of the sixth string, the second finger on the second fret of the fifth string, and the fourth finger on the third fret of the first string. Now I like to use this form of the G chord whenever switching to the C chord. Makes it a lot easier for that switch. So let's try a few times from the G. So these three fingers, no first finger down on this one. And I usually have my first finger hovering over the first fret of the second string. And then when I drop the two fingers down, the third finger and second fingers down, then I just add the first finger and lift off the pinky, like that. So try a G chord, and then try switching to the C. And then go back to the G, and then the C chord. Okay, so once you're comfortable with that, we're going to try going from the G to the C with quarter note strums. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, 3, 4 to the C chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the G chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then to the C chord again. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we're going to take the G chord, go to the C chord, back to the G, and to the D7. We're going to use the 1, 2, and 4 strum pattern. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4 to the C chord. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Back to G. 1, 2, and 3, and 4 to the D7. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Back to G. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. C chord. 2, and 3, and 4. G chord. 2, and 3, and 4 to the D7. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. All right, next we're going to go from the G chord to the C chord to the A minor to the D7. We're going to use a 1, 2, and 4 and strum pattern. So with the accented mute on beat 2 and syncopation from the and of 2 holding out through beat first half of beat 3. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and C, 2, and 3, and 4, A minor, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and D7, 2, and 3, and 4, back to G. All right, now we're going to learn another chord, and this one is very similar to the G chord that we just learned. So let's put down that G chord again. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take the pinky off and put the first finger on the first fret of the first string. And this gives us a G7 chord. Okay, so let's try the G chord again and G7. Go back and forth between those two. All right, now let's go from the G7 to the C. What we're going to do here is drop the third and second fingers down and bring the first finger up like so. Let's go back to the G7 and to the C. Now let's try a few exercises where we're going to switch between chords. Let's start on the G, and we'll do 4 quarter notes for the G and 4 quarter note strums for the G7. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, 3, 4, G7, 1, 2, 3, 4, back to G, 2, 3, 4, G7, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we're going to go from the G7 chord to the C chord, back and forth with quarter note strums. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the C. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to G7. 1, 2, 3, 4 into the C chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we're going to work on another chord progression using the G chord and the G7. Now on beat 1, we have the root. So for the G chord, that's the 3rd fret of the 6th string. Now on beat 2, we have a down strum, up strum, so 2/8 note strums. And then on beat 3, we have a rest. So we stop the strings from vibrating there. And then on beat 4, we have a quarter note strum. But notice that we have a dot that's above the slash mark. That's called a staccato. So we're going to only play that for half the value it's written. So like this, 4 and we're going to rest on the and of 4 there. So the first measure sounds like this. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Like so. So it'll be. All right, so let's try it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so in this final chord progression, we have the capo on the 4th fret. So put your capo right before the 4th fret. You might want to double check your tuning to make sure that the capo didn't throw any of the strings sharp. Okay, so pause the video, check your tuning, and we'll get started. Okay, so we're going to start with the G chord. We have 2 bars of the G, 2 bars of D, 2 bars of E minor, and 2 bars of C. And we're going to use the strum pattern we just learned, so it'll sound like this. And that's actually the chord progression for the song I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. All right, so let's slow it down a little bit and follow along. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4, 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 1, 2 and 3, 4. All right, so nice job today. Hop over to the Practice Buddy and we'll work on everything we talked about in today's lesson. All right, have fun, and I will see you next time.